Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks, where we meet with the top thought leaders and strategists in emerging technologies, digital assets, a regulatory landscape, and capital markets. This segment is presented by Charles Schwab. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, and joining me on the desk at the Nasdaq market site, we have Tim Bohen, Chief Strategy and Lead Technical Trainer at StocksToTrade, Gabino Roche, CEO of Saphyre, and Caleb Silver, Editor-in-Chief at Investopedia. We're here to discuss the role, capabilities, and risks of AI in trading. It is great to have all of you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks. Certainly interested in your different perspectives here. Let's kick it off, Tim, with you. StocksToTrade, equities trading education and tech platform for retail traders and investors. So I'm curious to get your perspective here. Will AI play a significant role in retail trading over the coming years?
1,000% yes. I've always been a technology guy, but I tell you, I think that when you look at when it comes to the productivity enhancements of AI, simply saving you time in research, chart analysis, looking at the fundamentals, whether it be going through SEC filings, all of this stuff that takes a lot of time to learn how to do and a lot of time to actually do. I think that is where AI can be an absolute game changer for the average retail trader that doesn't have 5 analysts working for him but still wants to actively trade.
Yeah, that's a great point that you make, like being able to even find information. I mean, by the time you find it, the trade's over. So.
Yeah, you're Googling all over the place, you're going to X, you're going all over the place, where you ask an AI, I mean, it manages to research all that data as well as parse it for you. I mean, that's the big thing. I mean, I think when I got started trading, access to information was always the struggle. Now it's like there's too much out there. So how do you actually parse that and find what's actionable and what isn't?
Yeah, that's a great point. And at Saphyre, you're leveraging patented AI technology to streamline the pre and post-trade processes. So you're looking at it from the operational perspective for global financial institutions. What's the current sentiment around adopting AI from Wall Street's biggest institutions?
It's bullish and fast. There are pet projects at all these institutions where they can clearly see that it looks promising. The truth is, though, finance expects 100% accuracy. And although you have this excitement around all this data that's available, AI makes mistakes.
Sure.
So you got to have insurance policies in place where the AI may create a result, but you got to check it. And a lot of the data is inconsistent. So a lot of these resources, when you trade and you do a voice trade and whatnot, people use short names and acronyms for things. The AI doesn't know that. So you got to create this normalized data layer and then teach the AI for how that works. That's a lot of what we do right now in the institutional space because it's actually disparate.
So, I mean, there's always going to be a human in the loop, not even just for compliance purposes, but
or at least to train the AI to understand how humans interact. And that's why I think there's efficiencies, but it's not going to go away. And there's cases where the AI makes a decision which is completely wrong, and you don't want to leave that up to chance. So therefore, there's efficiency plays, but when it comes to actually making the results of the trade or how it's going to get go through the plumbing in the system, that's where you still have to have some controls.
What about AI with financial advisors and wealth managers?
Yeah, well, I know for a fact, because our advisor is using AI, that it does streamline the intake process, first of all, which could take 3 to 4 hours. Probably the most important part, because that's when you're gathering all the information, but that can go a lot quicker. And then the product recommendations that come after that come a lot faster, and they're much more detailed and have a lot more, they're more succinct. It's a lot easier to go through that information rather than waiting a couple of weeks, and we can take action right away. At the end of the day, though, I want a pilot in the front of that plane, making sure that my trades, my investments, all my planning is done by a human being who knows me on an emotional level, me and my family. But the research part, just like it is for trading and doing research, is so much faster these days if you know how to ask the right questions. And this is all about asking the right questions, making sure you know what you want and the results you're looking for match up at the end of the day.
It's been interesting to watch the financial advisor space, how it's evolved certainly over the past 5 years with introducing emerging technologies.
Yeah, and it's not so much, anybody that works with an advisor or planner knows, the investment part is really almost the last part. You assume they're going to make the right decisions based on your goals, but it's all the other things that AI can help with. Insurance recommendations, tax recommendations, even what college to send your kid to school or how to pay for that. Those are all being enhanced by AI because of the research. There's so much data out there, but to help you get in that grouping of things that you actually make a decision on, that's where it really helps out a lot.
Yeah, and that was, to your point, we were saying before that it allows you to find the sources. So let's expand on the capabilities and advantages of AI, that you're seeing for retail traders. It really has leveled the playing field.
Yeah, and like Caleb said, I mean, the great thing about it is, like I see it as just a force multiplier at the end of the day. where you can accomplish tasks and procedures, and if you have a trading process, like it just gets you to that point where this is the stock I'm going to buy, this is where I'm going to buy it much quicker. And especially for newer traders, they just don't know what is actionable, what isn't actionable, whether it's a press release or something in an SEC filing. And that's where I see it as just an absolute, force multiplier, like I said, where now I can get to a decision. And, and much as Gabino said, is like, I'm not going to let the AI make trades for me yet. We'll probably get there someday. But right now I can get it to give me recommendations, and I can actually now, okay, here's 2-3 stocks that I think are top contenders, and then I press the buttons myself. But yeah, not letting it fly the plane, as Caleb said.
Yeah, that's a great way to
if I get in a plane and there's just a computer sitting in there, I'm not ready for that yet.
So, Gabino, from your perspective, what could become the importance of AI's role in trading? And to follow up to that, is this different than what algorithmic trading is? Isn't that a version of AI, if you will?
It can be in the short term. I think it's all exciting. Everyone sees that the doing pattern recognitions and whatnot, the AI is great for that. I think the powerful thing is looking at this for the retail trader to be an equalizer with the likes of BlackRock. Now, in order to get there actually and the stuff that we're kind of focused on is the infrastructure there so that you can work fast, like all the routing instructions when you get your wire transfers to settle your trades and whatnot. If you understand how that all works, that can be all automated so you can actually compete for best price, best execution. That's where you want to get to and actually settle immediately. But at the same time, the danger around that, and this is where the institutions are at, you don't want AIs to remember account numbers, right? You got to have the ability to forget that information. You also have to have the ability to switch AI service providers that you're going with, because one day one's blessed, the next day it's not, right? It's only a matter of time before we see issues around that. So there needs to be controls. And then how are you managing that data safely so that you can actually execute your trades, and then you have a true competitive advantage. So it's around the ecosystem, if you ask me, the plumbing that's unsexy behind the scenes, because everyone's going to be able to tell you, hey, we can do pattern recognitions, but can you actually compete with the big players?
I think you make an excellent point there regarding competitive advantage when you think about data governance, privacy, cybersecurity, thinking with the privacy cyber mindset first as you're building these platforms in the ecosystem. The unsexy part really is, that's how you build trust, not only within the company, but with your counterparties as well.
And the sheer volume, when you're talking about trading, even at the institutional level, the more pressure you put on the AI to make analysis, the more variance it has to make mistakes. So the more precise you're asking it questions, the more accurate it can be. But then if you're looking across, let's say, thousands or tens of thousands of trades, then there's a variance, right? And you go from like 99% to 94%, and it's light years. It's unacceptable in the finance industry, maybe acceptable in other industries, but not in ours.
Yeah, what are some of the unique risks that you see for the advisory space as it relates to AI?
Well, it's trust at the end of the day, right? The advice business is a trust business. It's a relationship business. I want to make sure that I'm dealing with a human being that understands me and my family and our needs, and I don't want to put it all up to the machine, and they know that, and I think that's how they're using the tools these days. So there's trust, there's the accuracy part of it, right? 5%, that gap there, that's unacceptable in this profession. It's unacceptable in the medical profession, so we got to get tighter on that. And then nuance. It's really not great at nuance, AI. So there, we get a lot of obviously questions coming into Investopedia that come through search. People are looking to learn things, and we kind of use the tool to say, what are the patterns and what people are trying to learn to make sure we're delivering the best answers. Now, sometimes the best answer for me is different than the best answer for you. So if you can train the language models to understand who they're talking to without getting too personal, it helps actually deliver better content, better answers. That's better for our readers. It's also better for advertisers.
Yeah, well, here's an interesting question as it relates to the retail trader. What are some of the potential risks unique to the retail trader when they're leveraging AI? Perhaps the AI misinterprets what a trader wants to do, and it does not turn out well.
Well, I think the biggest risk at the end of the day, and this applies to really any technology, is I think sometimes people can become over-reliant on it. Like I mean, listen, if you use these tools to make a trade recommendation, and then something happens in the world, world war breaks out, or or Trump says something, which happens every 10 seconds, and then that trade goes against you. What I fear, and this is what I caution a lot of people, is you still have to respect that it's changed. Like what was true maybe a few minutes ago isn't true now, and you can't just be like, oh, the AI said this, I'm down this. But the AI said this, and I'm down more. So we, at StocksToTrade, it's mostly, short-term day trading and swing trading. These stocks move fast. So you can't fall into that trap of, oh, it said this, I'm not going to cut that loss and move on to the next trade. I think that's my fear is that's the biggest one.
But you can make the same argument with meme trades as well.
Yes.
Just because there's 1,000 other traders within your social ecosystem trading this one stock, if you short at the top,
Yep.
that's,
Yeah. And I mean, that's unfortunately, especially in short-term trading, you see a lot of that herd mentality, and people start glomming on to whether it be Wall Street bets or something else with meme stocks. It's like you have to make your own decisions at the end of the day. You can't say, well, he said this and he said that and she said that. You have to be your own trader.
Yes, there might be a lot of AI bots on some of these platforms.
That is an excellent point.
Yeah, who knows? Wall Street bets probably just all AI talking to each other all day long. Yeah.
I would say buy at the top, not short at the top. It's not bad being short at the top. I mean, that's a great point that AI is, you can make that argument on any social media platform when you see, the bots. And
who are you listening to? Where's that messaging coming from? Yes. What are the motivations behind that? And sometimes it's easy to tell, and sometimes it's not easy at all because it's great at masking or mimicking actual individuals who might have that type of influence. So just like in investing, long-term investing or short-term trading, you got to know who you're talking to, and you have to have your own set of rules. Can't blame the machine.
It's basically it's kind of like the dead internet theory, where a lot of people, it's a conspiracy theory, but a lot of people think that like 90% of the content on all of social media is just bot created, and you can fall into that with trading decisions as well.
This is where when you have an ecosystem or the plumbing that's in place, if you're working with certain brokers and that you're trading, now the financial advisors have a great opportunity here to equalize themselves with some of the bigger players today, because today they actually have to pay a fee to play with the big guys, right? So if you're able to understand your trading relationships across the different parties, and let's say you change your account structures, you're changing your trading relationships, now you can have the AI to at least know who are the trading partners that are allowed to receive that information so that your trades are executed accurately. If you're changing an account number, is the infrastructure in place to kind of do what we call at Saphyre a checker step? Because the AI may do it, you need to make sure that account number is right. But when you validate it, now you can send it to broker A, B, C, and D in one shot. So it's a one and done experience. This is what we mean by intelligent memory, not just memory for memory's sake, because is it correct that you're recalling the right thing? This is how you actually avoid those issues. So when you're talking about pattern recognition even, and a lot of the AI solutions today are working within the four walls of a firm or an individual, and it's not taking into play the other players that are interacting as well. And that's what I talk about, this ecosystem that needs to understand the relationships you have with them and how that data is being presented so that you have accurate information with the AI.
See, and that's a great point that you make, because now that agentic AI is being employed, that's when you start to see the autonomous processes come into play.
Yeah.
That just adds another layer to it.
Yeah, and that goes to your previous question to me before about what we were doing like with the AI, because there's two types. There's the automated rules type of thing, right, that people saw that kind of mimic the artificial intelligence, and then there's the actual interpretation component. And I think there's a process, and I'll tell you right now, like some of the things we do is we look at legal agreements when you're doing repo trades and whatnot. There are terms of how much collateral you need to put up. There, institutions have a pecking order of which collateral is supposed to be taken, but the taxonomy of how they describe it is inconsistent, right? And you're looking at Xerox copies from 40 years ago that AI has to interpret. So this is where you have to have checker steps. But once it's in there and you do this on a go-forward basis, now it becomes streamlined. Now it's automated. You can rely on it.
So how are you using AI internally at StocksToTrade?
Well, kind of as I mentioned earlier, we've got a technology called Iris right now that kind of does exactly what I said. It's made for analyzing the fundamentals, the technicals. Speaking of pattern recognition, we trade a lot of chart patterns on the short term. So for a lot of people, they're starting out trading. Where's a bull flag? Where's all these patterns? It can instantly say, this is the pattern, this is the fundamentals, this is what this stock industry it's in, et cetera, and then basically make trade decisions. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the AI, typically you tell it what your goals are, what type of sector you want to trade, and it's going to make a few recommendations. It's going to give you buy price and sell prices based on the chart, but we strongly caution people that at the end of the day, that's a recommendation. You got to make your own trade decisions. But I just see, especially when it comes to like what I was doing 10 years ago, you're just reading and reading and reading and spending hours and hours and hours, and now this does it all in a matter of minutes so that you don't have to spend that time.
Yeah. So. Caleb, you mentioned that you're leveraging AI to find the content that your readers are going to the site for. Have you seen an ROI or an improvement in metrics because of that?
Yeah, well, we'll never use it to write articles or anything like that, but sometimes, for example, we're thinking about, what are people talking about, what's out there trending right now, and there are thousands of finance podcasts. I have one of them. We're not going to go and listen to all of them. We all have a few that we listen to. We can ask it to listen to all of them and bubble up what are some of the trending topics that are popping in the podcast world today. Also, photo selection. Super important when it comes to publishing. Sometimes that's the first thing that grabs people. Which ones perform better based on our library? But also Investopedia, we're 26 years old, 40,000 plus pieces of content. Yeah. That's millions and millions of words that we can use AI to help create our own learned language model to kind of bring the essence of what our articles and our content is all about and make improvements to them based on learning what we've already written about.
Yeah, I've actually done that for the show as well. We have over 10,000 produced videos, and to kind of see, what's been trending over the years or what's been trending well. But to your point that it's able to aggregate now, and it can read links and it can read pictures. That's something that's relatively new. It was not able to do that just about even a year ago.
Yeah, but what it can't do is kind of mimic me. So I tried to use it to write a bunch of video scripts that we'd had the stories on. I have my own scripts that I've written. I have my own podcast. We plugged them all in and said, write this in Caleb Silver's voice, the way he would deliver it. It was too cute for its own sake, saying things that I would never say, like happy investing. But it did shorten the time to where I knew it was our content. It was kind of in my voice. It wasn't going outside of the lines, but it just wasn't precise enough to really give character. And I think that's a limitation that will probably be overcome in the next few years. Does it really grab the essence of my character, the way I'm trying to convey information? It may look like me, may sound like me, but it's not really giving you what I want you to know.
Yeah, I mean, being able to logically organize, to your point, all the trading data, all the research and so forth. So let's think about that year, 2, 3 years out. What's your outlook here?
Well, I mean, I kind of think about what Iris does right now. It's kind of like with Copilot with Excel and stuff. It's like you can create a pivot table and all these things where I remember years ago I'm Googling and Googling and Googling. My formulas don't work. I get the old exclamation ref. So right now, Iris manages to get to the point where you've got that workable spreadsheet. Still got to make your own trades, but I am crazy bullish in the future. I just think that as we accelerate, we get more, we build more custom wrappers, which is what Iris is. Like I just and I'm very bullish technology, but I just think the sky is the absolute limit to where you get to the point where you can simply start allocating that capital and have it make the trades for you eventually.
Well, I mean, that seems to echo your sentiment too in terms of how the ecosystem is building itself out and getting smarter with each iteration.
I think the differentiator is creating the ecosystem.
Yes.
You've heard about blockchain for a while. It's not been widely adopted. The main reason is because there's different taxonomies and standards to adopt each one. And one bank, JP Morgan versus Bank of America, and I'm just picking names out of a hat, may have their own versions, and then they're worried that their customers are not going to adopt their version. If you have AI that understands normalized data infrastructure and can allow you now to equalize this, you're going to have cases where you don't even need the banks to be participating. Blockchain can actually do a lot of the custodial work. And now there are more broker-dealers and investment managers and financial advisors who are participating on a one-to-one basis, and they don't have to go to these centralized players anymore. That's the equalizer. So this is where we're moving towards, and the incumbents are trying to stay relevant, so they're trying to build that infrastructure. That's the exciting part, because the day trading, the pattern recognition, all that's here now. I can guarantee it. The stuff that's going to change in 2 to 3 years is that whole infrastructure.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch the global capital markets evolve in real time, for sure. All right, appreciate everyone's insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.